Hi, everyone. This lecture is going to focus on pricing strategies as a concept, but also as they relate to international markets. So what is a pricing strategy and what is a firm's optimal price? Well, it's going to relate and rely on the business strategy. What is the marketing strategy? And as far as marketing strategy, what is your positioning in the marketplace? And are you a low price leader? Are you using certain price strategies to attract customers? And it also depends on the customer's expectations, the channel coverage that you have, your costs that include fixed and variable costs. What are those? That's going to affect your price. And always, the competitors will affect your price. And you see that in our project that we're working on in the class. You'll see that the competitors do influence the price. So having said that, those are the concepts that influence price. We're going to go over a couple of key pricing concepts. One of them is called price penetration. And what price penetration is, it's as the name suggests, we're going to be penetrating the market. And we do that typically in markets that are already established or mature, as we would say. And so we want to set lower flat prices, and with the expectation that it's going to be difficult to differentiate in other ways. So we have to be competitive, let's just say that. In typical mass market products like chocolate bars, foodstuffs, household goods that are extremely mature and out for years, to enter those markets, we have to come in at a flat, very competitive price. And it's suitable for products with anticipated, long life cycles, and may be useful in launching a new product, especially if you're coming into an existing market where it's difficult to differentiate. And in growth markets, it's easier to differentiate. Or if you're the market leader, you're differentiated because you've entered the market, but not so much in markets that are already established. So there is a place for price penetration. We'll be talking about examples. So the antithesis, or in other words, the opposite of price penetration, is price skimming. And it's a legitimate strategy, really depends on how you're entering the market, or if you are starting a market, if you are the market leader, if you, like Apple was when they launched their iPhone. If that's true, then you can use the price skimming strategy. And it's suitable for products are going to have fairly short life cycles and are going to be facing competition at some point. And I'm going to show you on a graph on a product life cycle what that looks like. But you have on this product positioning skill, you have high price and highly differentiated would be up here. And then you have commoditized and low price would be here. This is how you would illustrate what a price skimming actually looks like. So this is an example of a product that when the new iteration of the iPhone comes out, in this case it's the iPhone 14s, when it's introduced to the market, it's at its highest price. It's not going to be higher than that. Then within the year, you'll see the prices decline. There's going to be more competitive offerings that are forcing prices down. And then following year, let's say 2 years, when the iPhone 15 is launched, the iPhone 14 then will be a lower price even. And then we're looking at price penetration strategies for the older models. So this is an example of price skimming, and to stay on this, we're talking about premium pricing now. It's under the heading of price skimming, but premium prices are for those that it's going to be very low volume, very high margin products. And an example of this might be when the Apple Watch was introduced, they introduced solid gold. So they had a rose gold here and yellow gold here. And if you look at what these were offered at, look at the pricing, it's considered super premium, right? You're looking at $17,000 for this. You're looking at $15,000 for this, $12,000 for this, or $17,000 for this. Who's the market for this? It's probably celebrities, professional athletes, those with a lot of discretionary income would buy a gold Apple Watch. You know, the rest of us are going to be paying $300 or $400 for just a metal one. So that's what super premium looks like. You know, they're not going to sell a lot of them. And the other thing it does, it shows that there's a super premium category to a product, which means that it could give the entire market, your entire product line, more prestige. So that's another reason you might use that model. So super premium. You notice how they don't use psychological pricing here. They just put and I'll explain what psychological pricing is in a minute. But when you look at price skimming and you look at price penetration and you match it up with the product life cycle, all products and services go through this life cycle. And if a product is worth extending, the marketer might put an extension strategy on it. But you have the price skimming strategy where you're the market leader, for example, and you set a high price with a steep slope and price decline. And that's what happens with price skimming. And price penetration is a flatter price, more competitive price, entering a mature market. At some point, these two pricing models will equalize in the maturity phase. Price skimming, price penetration continues at a very low slope and a very high slope for price skimming, and they end up equalizing there in price maturity. If you want to look at, you know, the how from a manufacturing perspective, this is the financial anatomy of a $100 Adidas shoe. So the actual cost of production is $21 in this model. The $5 is for freight, shipping, insurance, and custom duty for exportation, which we'll be talking about. The $8 is for marketing, and this is for television, you know, magazine advertising, also social media, online digital advertising. $8 goes in there, and then $13 goes to other expenses and overheads, and you know, employee costs, things like that. And then you have a sliver of this as tax, and then you have net profit per shoe. This is net profit after all expenses are paid. To Adidas, they have a net profit of $2, and then $50 goes to the the retail partner, whoever that is. If it's a professional shoe store, they will buy the product at $450 and sell it for $100 basically. And we call that a 50% markup, retailer margin. So retailers have the right to discount that $50, but they have to be careful not to discount it too much, or else that's going to affect the rest of Nike's channel partners. So that's a sort of a balancing act that has to be done here, but this is where the retail margin comes into play. So what's psychological pricing? And I touched on this earlier. If you notice that the gold watches didn't use this strategy, they didn't need to. But most products in the world, every country, doesn't matter where you go, psychological pricing is used. And that's based on a concept of 99. So the actual price of this iPhone SE is $400. But what they're saying is that they're calling it $399 because that's a incremental step down from the 400, which psychologically affects consumers in discounting it themselves. So what the consumer remembers is, like on the iPhone 13 Pro, in this case, when it was new, they would look at that and they'd say it's under $1,000. Well, it's really not. It's $1,000, but because it's 99, they say it's under $1,000. And its psychological pricing is used to play on consumers' perceptions, and logic doesn't really enter into it. And so that's why they use it. It's used around the world. Everybody uses psychological pricing. You notice that, I'm going to go back up for a second. You notice that on these prices, they didn't use it. They don't need to use it. They don't want to use psychological pricing. They want to say this is an expensive product. You wouldn't see a Ferrari or Rolls Royce being sold at psychological prices, but that's more for the other type consumer type products. So there you have it. Now we're going to look at Costco and the way they use pricing and positioning of their products. And it's kind of interesting how they do it. And I just want to play this video for you.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Come check out Sam.
Guys, sit there. Sorry.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
If you've ever shopped at Costco, you may have noticed that it's a little different.
Costco is not engineered for a quick shopping trip. It is exactly the opposite.
This is the economics of Costco.
It's not a grocery store. It's not a small corner store. It's huge, it's cavernous, the ceiling is high. Goods are literally stacked on pallets up to almost the ceiling. That's all part of the model and the experience.
I got a Costco haul. First thing we got is a 5 dozen of eggs. Then we got salmon.
Unlike most stores, there are no aisle signs or in-store maps to help direct shoppers. Instead, aisles are simply numbered. What's more, Costco constantly moves some of its products and cycles in new products. So what gives? Why are Costco stores designed this way? And how has it helped the company grow into the retail behemoth that it is today?
Costco is a big fan of using treasure hunt retail psychology to draw you in, which is basically having items on the shelf that are at a wow price because they're such a good discount, or they're just really interesting, not going to be there forever.
The big idea behind Costco's treasure hunt strategy is that by encouraging customers to explore and ensuring that there's always a new batch of interesting deals, customers end up shopping longer and buying more products.
Today I went to Costco thinking I was just going to get a few items, but I ended up with a whole entire cart.
When you go into the store, it doesn't feel the same as the last time you were there. And so you have a sense of urgency about purchasing and also just a sense of wanting to come back, right, and check out what's going on. If it was the same every time, you might not come as often.
Today, Costco is one of the world's largest retailers, boasting over 803 locations and 275,000 employees.
Costco was part of sort of this early warehouse club concept, which was really about, instead of like go to the store, buy a single item, come to the store, pay a membership, and maybe you're a small business, and we'll offer you wholesale prices, basically lower prices.
Most members pay an annual fee of $60 for the basic plan, but customers can upgrade to the executive membership, which has more perks, for $120 a year. Membership dues are also how Costco makes most of its money.
I think Costco's management's main goal is always this ethos of, can we offer more exciting items at a better price to keep memberships growing? The model is make money on the membership, sell things as cheaply as possible. They can't just raise the price on something to increase the profit. That's against the internal code. And so that also includes things like, let's save money in how much time we spend putting products on shelves. So that's part of the reason why you see these pallets of goods stacked up to the ceiling is there's not a lot of time spent taking apart those pallets, putting each individual product on the shelf. If they eliminate that, there's a little bit of labor savings, there's some time savings because they're just putting all that stuff out on a pallet and you take it.
Costco says that an average item in the store is only marked up 11% compared to the 25 to 50% often seen in retail. This commitment to low prices hasn't just kept customers loyal, it has also helped spread the brand.
There's a psychology to finding a deal that's very satisfying for people. And people enjoy the product selection at Costco. They have very skilled merchants that usually have been employed there for a very long time and really know what a Costco customer likely would want. And they're good at getting good prices on those products.
I got Premier protein flavor bundle.
And that sort of creates a certain frenzy around finding those things.
I got the Kirkland brand microwave popcorn. I got 2 packs of bottled water.
Most retailers might assume that shoppers want more choices, not less.
They sell a limited number of items. So that means they have to be pretty precise. They think about like giving space to a product in their store differently than a Walmart would. And if that product doesn't sell, like it's out of there. It's very cutthroat. If you're a product on the shelf, you have to earn your place.
The average Costco warehouse stocks about 3,700 products at any given time, less than 1/10 of most supermarkets' 40 to 50,000 items. But even though Costco stocks fewer items, the items they do stock have a reputation.
I see you've noticed me rolling up the sleeves on my new Kirkland signature quarter zip my mother got me for the holidays.
Kirkland is Costco's, private label brand. It's their store brand. It's a brand that when they want to offer something at a certain price that they don't feel a manufacturer or supplier can do it, they build it themselves.
Since it was launched in 1995, the in-house brand has built a reputation for quality and low prices on everyday items. Today, Kirkland products make up a quarter of Costco's $166 billion in annual sales.
But when you talk to customers, I think they generally feel that it doesn't necessarily need to be fancy because they've already bought into this Costco pitch, which is this is high quality and it's a lower price and you don't need to be afraid of it.
That customer loyalty helped Costco remain strong during the pandemic.
Costco is certainly a model that has not only survived the pandemic, but has really thrived in the pandemic.
Despite the increased popularity of online shopping, Costco has leaned into its strategy of driving members to its stores.
It's really interesting to me because for years, people have questioned Costco. Amazon's going to get you. You got to get bigger online. And that really hasn't played out yet. They've said explicitly, we prefer people to come into the store and shop. We want impulse buys. We want people to come in, see what we have and buy more. We work better that way and it's cheaper.
Not exactly all about pricing, but it does kind of show the Costco model. And, their strategy is to have less products, like she said. We call a product on the shelf, we call it a SKU. And Costco, like she said, has about 4,000 SKUs. And whereas a Target or another US department store like that could, or, big box store could have 100,000. So if you want a vacuum cleaner, you're gonna have a choice of 2 at Costco. You're gonna have a choice of 12 at another store, like Walmart or something. So they, like she said, they have to be very precise, but it gives them better buying power, which allows them to lower the price. So remember this psychological pricing here. We're going to be coming back to that. Another concept I wanted to go over is that of the loss leader. And businesses do this. Even Costco does this. Costco has in their food court, they have a hot dog and a drink. It's like a quality hot dog and a large drink for $1.50. They've had that price for 25 years. They refuse to raise it. It actually loses money, but they see it as a draw to get people in the door. Same thing, they sell their chicken, their roasted chickens at a very low price, like $5 for an entire chicken. That's been like a 20 to 25 year price. Again, loss leader. Businesses do this. They try to offer a low price to get you in the door. It's a common practice. So loss leader will try to get you in the door, but also tries to give the perception that all the other prices are just as low. So that's what that is. Now we're going to look at the international perspective, pricing from an international perspective from the US coming out. But having said that,
chances are when you start selling your products in other countries, you'll have a different pricing structure than when you sell in the United States. When developing an export pricing strategy, it pays to research the markets you plan to target. You will want to consider the price your competitors charge for similar products, any costs to comply with local certifications or foreign regulations, costs associated with modifying your product so it will operate properly, perhaps on a different electric system, costs of changing your packaging for cultural or language reasons, and allowing for costs associated with after-sales service. There will be other costs associated with exporting to overseas markets, including transportation, taxes and duties, sales commissions, insurance, and financing. After you have done this research and you've decided on an export pricing strategy, your buyers will probably request a pro forma invoice, which is a detailed offer at a specific price, paid in a specific currency, usually US dollars, that is good for a set amount of time. A pro forma invoice should include a description of your product, including its weight and dimensions of the packaging, the selling price, and specific terms of sale and payment. You'll also want to include terms of delivery called Incoterms. These terms spell out which party is responsible to pay and assume risks at each stage in the international transit of goods. So if the buyer is responsible to contract and pay for picking up your product at the factory, insurance, arranging customs clearance, and paying all the duties and taxes, there is an Incoterm for that. Or if you are going to take responsibility for delivering the goods duty paid to the buyer's place of business, there is an Incoterm for that too. Understanding the additional costs when setting your product's price overseas is critical to a profitable expansion into foreign markets. A pro forma invoice describes the product, packaging, pricing, and terms of the sale, including terms of delivery, and a responsible party called Incoterms. For more information on the export process, you can watch another video in the Exporting Basics video series. Register online at export.gov.
so that's